President Thatcher.
Bless you.
And Pastor Stapleton, and all of the ministers who are here today.
Amen.
This is sort of unusual, and it's 10 minutes to 5, and I'm not giving the long services. So, but this is one of the greatest joys of my life. My father pastored 15 churches, 2 of them twice. And he came here from Wichita Falls, Texas in 1916. And when he was pastoring in Wichita Falls, Texas at St. John Church, the church was low on the ground. And when it would rain, water would run up under the door and run into the sanctuary on the floor. And there'd be the dank smell and all like that. And Papa said, we can't do this. The women are coming in here, and we got to build another church and upgrade the situation. So the brethren, the deacons and trustees told him, said, no, we don't want to go into debt. So we can't do that, we can't. Papa said, well, we got to do it, said, and I can build, I know how to build. I built churches in Arkansas and McKinney, Texas. And they said, well, Pastor, we don't want to do that. He said, no, you got to do it. He said, we can't have these women sitting up in here with this dankness and dampness, and you know, they rot out the wood and everything. So he said, brethren, if you don't want to do that, then I'll be going on somewhere else. So that Sunday after he preached, he told the audience, he said, now I brought it to the officers, deacons and the trustees, and I don't like to go around my officers. I like to work with them. He said, but we can't keep on worshiping here. We got to upgrade the situation. And he said, and they said that they didn't want me to put the church in debt and all like that. So if you all don't want to do that, I'm going to be frank with you, I'll be looking for another church. So after he finished the sermon, there was a gentleman in the office, in the audience, and he came to him and said, Pastor, are you serious? He said, yeah, I'm serious. He said, well, I belong to a church in Fort Worth, Mount Zion Church, and we need to build. And if you come over there, we'll make you pastor and you keep building. Papa said, I'll be there next Sunday. So Papa said that next Saturday he got on the bus and rode and came over here in early Sunday morning. Said he was standing on corner of Rosedale and Evans. And the deacon came up to him and said, you here? Said, what are you looking for? He said, I'm looking for Mount Zion Church. He says, right up there. He says, Mount Zion Church. The fellow said, yeah, that's what I'm telling you. It's right up there. He said, well, by that tent? He said, no, that tent is the... Well, that's it. We'll go on up there. So Papa said he had his little satchel and he went on up there. And they said, who are you? He said, well, I'm pastor of St. John Church in Wichita Falls, Texas. And I'm here to help you build a church. The deacon was over there last Sunday and said you needed somebody to build churches. And that's what I do. I build churches. And I can help you and show you. And you call me. And deacons get me a place to stay for my wife, my family. I'll go back and get my family, come on up here. So they said, are you serious? He said, yeah, I'm serious. This is what I do, I build churches. And so they voted him that Sunday, or voted to have a business meeting. And they had lights in the tent, he said, sawdust on the floor. And he went and preached that morning, preached that evening, and got with the deacons, and in a couple of weeks, they found a place at 13 27 Lee Street. I don't know if anybody know what it is. 1327 Lee Street. That was the parsonage. And my next brothers, two brothers next to me, they were born in that house. 1327. I asked somebody about it this morning. They told me the street is gone or something. I don't know. But anyway, my brother's 98 years old, next to me. So, Papa moved Mama and the other family. I was not born yet. They came on over. So after a while, Papa told them, said, now we got the bill. And I'm going to the colored bank to see if we can make a loan and so forth. He went to the colored bank. And the colored banker told him, said, now Reverend, you have a family and you came here from St. John Church in Wichita Falls. He said, now you need to come here. He said, those people, they don't have any money up there. You got one man in the church with a bank account here, and he has $7 in the account. And we can't be loaning out no money. $7. You only got one person with some money in the bank, $7. He said, now you really should have stayed in St. John and Wichita Falls. But my father, he was feisty, you know. Papa said, well, I didn't tell you how to bank, you know. Go ahead. So it meant was, I'm not going to let you tell me how to practice. So he said, you can't build no church with those people. Said they don't have no good jobs. Said you got a man shining shoes. Said they don't have no job. You got one man teaching school somewhere, and like I said, he got $7 in the bank. So Papa said, well, all right. So Papa said he came out of there and went to the white bank. And the white bank, he told him he wanted to borrow some money. He said, well, you don't have any people in your church with any bank accounts. And you know, you haven't been there long enough. And Papa said, yeah, but we got the bill. We can't be in the tent, cold weather, sawdust on the floor. You know, Papa said, well, we got the bill. He said, but you can't help these people. You can't run in here out from another city. We don't know you. Papa said, you don't need to know me. Just trust me. The fella said, well, I can't help you. So Papa said, he went on, came back, and the Spirit told him, tell the people, tell you what we're going to do. Since I know how to build churches, we're going to pay as we go. Now, when my father came here, he had graduated from Arkansas Baptist College in Little Rock, Arkansas. At the time, along with your theological studies, you had to have a trade. You had to be a tailor, a barber, cut hair, or a shoe repairman. If you were a man, you had to have a trade to go with your degree. Yeah. So Papa chose drafting and construction work. Yeah. So he knew how to build, how to draw plans and all like that. So he came back, he told me and told the people, said, here's what we're going to do. He said, I'm going to draw these plans, and we get them approved and everything, and we're going to pay as we go. He said, I know how to build churches. I built church in McKinney. I built churches in Arkansas and Louisiana. He said, I know how to build churches. So no problems. And all I want you to do, let me pastor the church. Let me pastor the church. Just let me pastor the church. That's all I want you to do. So people agreed. He said, we're going to pay as we go. He drew the plans, he said, just like this is today. He drew these plans with this balcony and so forth. Went to the planning commission, and the man said, this is nice. Where do you get this skill? He said, well, I went to Arkansas Baptist College. He said, what is that? He said, that's where Negroes go to their theological training. You know? So the guy said, well, I don't know nothing about that. He said, but you know, you're going to need a white man to okay this. So Papa said, that is no problem. So he took him to the white architect, and the white architect said, well, where did you learn this? He said, well, I learned it. He said, well, you going to have a balcony in the church? He said, yes. He said, well, you don't need no balcony for no Negro church, no black church. And Papa said, why not? Got people who need to be sitting up there. And he said, well, it's black people. He said, but the seats are not for black folk, they're just for people. Yeah. He said the white folk couldn't understand that. And he kept telling them. He said, well, you don't need a balcony. And Papa said, we're going to have a balcony. Everybody. So he drew the plan, took him to the white man. White man okayed it, took him back to the planning commission. The planning commission said, perfect, all right, okay, this, that, and the other. Said, now you get yourself contracted, you go to work. So Papa said he went back to the colored bank. And the man said, you came before, Reverend, I told you before, you cannot build a church. You don't have anybody in the church with a real job. Say, your man shining shoes, and they're working at the hotel, said, these are not jobs. Said, we can't loan you money for this. And so then he left there and went to the white man again. And the white man said, you back? He said, yeah. I said, well, I can't help you. So Papa said he came on back to the church. Said, we're going to pay as we go. We're going to pay as we go. So he said they started raising money. One of the deacons said, well, Pastor, I got 14, 15 acres. I'm working. But you know, I get my money selling my produce and everything. And said, I won't get the money until the fall. He said, but I got a mule you can use. And Papa said, yeah, we're going to need the mule. We can use it to dig out the basement. So Papa said they brought the mule in, worked him 3-4 months, and the mule had a heart attack and dropped dead. So they say that the mule is buried under this church. I don't know about that. But anyway, Papa went and got some hobos, and they finished digging out the church and got some wheelbarrows, and that's how the basement was dug out. Papa said, so they went on piece by piece Sunday. In those days, most of the crowd was a night crowd, because most of the women, many of the women, worked in the white folks' homes. Yeah. So they had to cook on Sunday morning for the white folk. So you didn't have people on Sunday morning. But they said Sunday night, Dr. Sandy Ray belonged to another church, and he would come over to Mount Zion, but they said Papa was packing that tent out. Yeah, my father was a good preacher. I don't care, excuse me, but my father was a good preacher. Yeah, right. Yeah, that nigga, yeah, excuse me, that nigga. He's supposed to preach. Take him but about 20 minutes, he set the house on fire. 22, 24 minutes, he was out of there. So he filled the tent up. Yeah, yes, sir, he filled that tent up. And so one day the white banker would get his shoes shined every Friday across the street from the Dolphins Hotel. And he went there and he asked the shoe shine man, said, what are they doing over there on Rosedale and everything? He said, oh, we building a church. He said, you building what? Building a church. He said, what kind of church? He said, a real church. We're going to have a balcony and everything. And the banker said, what you going to have a balcony for? I said, well, we're going to have people. We're going to have full church balcony in our church and everything. And we're going to have baptizing pool. And the fellow said, well, what you going to need all that? So the pastor said, we're going to need that. And we got to have a balcony. We got to elevate things. And so the fellow said, well, you know, he came to me, but I told him we couldn't get any money. Fast run, the president of the White Bank said he went home, told his wife, said, I don't talk to you about banking business, but a little colored fella came to me, want to borrow some money. And I told him, we can't loan you any money. You don't have anybody with any bank accounts in here. So he said his wife never said anything to him about banking business, but she told him you're supposed to be a Christian, why don't you help him? And you're supposed to be a Christian, why don't you help him? So the banker says that Monday morning when he got back to the bank, looked over some records, about 11 o'clock, he told his chauffeur, take me down to Rosedale and Evans and just take me down there. So they got there. Papa said the man drove up, parked his car. Chauffeur came up and they were finishing the basement, starting on the first floor. The fella came and said, go up there and tell the preacher I'm going to see him. So Papa said the fella came up and said, you pastor? Yeah. Said, well, Mr. So-and-so wants to see you. He's president of the bank. And Papa said, well, what time is it? He said, 11:15. He said, well, you tell him the sisters are preparing lunch for us. There are about 4 of them laying brick and laying the foundation. And he said, well, tell him the sister's going to ring the cowbell at 12 o'clock. And that's when we're going to stop for lunch. And so the fellow went back and told him, he said, you go back and tell him I'm the banker. So he went back and told Papa. I said, what'd you say, Papa? He said, I told him, go back and tell him I'm the pastor. We'll be down at 12 o'clock. So Papa said at 12 o'clock, they rang the cowbell. He came down, washed his hands, went to the car, took his cap off, said, yes, sir, I'm Pastor Curry. He said, what are you doing? He said, we're building a church. He said, well, mind if I look at it? Where are your plans? Where's your permit? Papa showed him and everything. He said, oh, I see here. He said, now, who drew these plans? He said, I did, and I had the architect to do this. And said, you got a permit and everything? Yes, got a permit and everything. And he said, now this foundation, you got a 30-inch foundation, and the city only calls for 20 or 24 inches at the most. Papa said, well, we're going to have a balcony in the church. He said, the preacher, the bank president said, you don't need no balcony. Negroes don't need no balcony. Papa said, this is a church. And the fella said, but you don't need a balcony. You're not going to have, Papa said, I'm pastor of the church. I drew the plans for it. We're going to have a balcony in the church. And we're not going to have any posts in the church holding up and obstructing the view from the church. And the man said, well, I don't see why you need all of that. Said, you build this church will last 100 years. Papa said, that's what I intend for it to do. That's right. And when he first told me this about 1980 or 1990, something like that, and I said, I want to go see that and all like this and everything. So the man looked around everything, said, well, it looks good to me and everything. He said, now, preacher man, you and your deacons been doing this, laying these bricks and everything? Yeah. Said, well, how you going to do when you get up and you going to have a bell tower and everything and you going to have a balcony? Said, you can't do that just by hands and so forth. Papa said, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. He said, God opened the Red Sea. And he'll open what he needs to do here. Said a man went around with him, followed him around, and then he's putting everything, pressing the bricks and everything, and he's looking and lining it up. He said, well, where'd you learn all this? See, I told you I went to Arkansas Baptist College. He said, well, what is that? What kind of school is that? He says, it's a theological school. But you got to learn a trade to go with it. You got to learn how to be a tailor or a shoe repairman or a barber or something. You can't just get theological study. Now we got a whole field now talking about preachers with what do they call it? Bivocational. Yeah. So they think this is a new thing. This ain't no new thing. Negroes have been planning for that way back in the 1800s. So the man went all the way around, and then he said, Papa said, well, I got to get back to work now. Got to get back. So he said, well, I'm going to try. The man looked all around and all like this. So finally he says, where are you getting your lumber from? He said, I get it from such and such a company. Where are you getting your bricks from? He said, I get them from. Where are you getting your mortar from? Where you get your mix from? And all this says, I work construction, so I know about all this stuff, you know. You're watering your sand and you grade your sand.
Yes, sir.
He said, you got 2 piles of sand here. Papa said, yeah. He said, we got certain sand for foundation. They've got certain sand for bricklaying. You know, well, if you don't know about this stuff, you think it's the same sand. But you got grades of sand that you use to make it stand.
Yeah.
And he said, well, you don't need this sand, Papa said. We're going to have a balcony. And we got to make sure that the bricks on the upper part will stay in there. So Papa said when the guy got through, he said, preacher, said, now, where you getting your lumber from? Mostly. Where you getting your nails from? Okay. He said, now, I'll tell you what, my brothers and I own all those stores. You go there and get everything you need to finish this building. Then you come back and we'll go to the bank and make up some paper. This is what the white man told me. This is what the white man told me. So, Papa said they went on, and of course they could get a contractor in, you know, they got the bank's word they're going to finish the money. So that's how the building was finished. But actually the basement and much of the first floor, the Papa and the brethren, they did that themselves. Yeah. And they had already schemed out and all this stuff. This is and so that's how the building was finished. Yeah. Now you say, where did they get the steel from? You know, this was a war period. So I said, Papa, how did you get the steel stuff during those war years? He said, well, son, I really can't tell you. Can't tell you. All I know is the contract, the white contractor said, Reverend, don't you worry about that. Don't ask any questions. So the steel in this building was got during World War II.
Yeah.
And nobody seemed to know how they got the steel because they were not letting steel go anywhere but the war building. See? So the whole thing is a mystery.
My God.
And I'm just appalled. I went upstairs after service this morning. I said, how can a man have a vision like this in 1917?
Yeah. Yeah.
Reverend Sanders and I think that is the original pulpit right there. I'm not sure. Sister George may know. I think that is the original piece of furniture right there. But I do know the pews were bought from a company in Waco, Texas. Yes, sir. I bought some pews from them. Yes, sir. In my church 50, 60 years ago. So and I'm here today to thank you all for your support, your families, and my father, and letting him lead you in building. This is a monument. It's something that has inspired me over the years. I have a granddaughter now. She graduated from Auburn University, and she's president of the National Architectural Association for the whole United States. And she has an office in Washington, D.C. for 1 year. And she is the lobbyist. She is the official lobbyist to go all over the country to these universities and try to get young people to become architects. And I want her to come here. I'm going to tell her to come here and look at this. This is amazing. And how a man could have a vision and then have faith enough in God to go out and say we're going to pay as we go. Papa told me after they got the building built and everything, and they had the coming in ceremonies, and they had the black president, colored president from the bank to come. Had him on program, and had the white president of the bank to come. And he said that the black president, he put him up and said he got up and stood 10, 12, 15 minutes. Couldn't say a word, just cried. Just cried. I said, well, Papa, what did he say? He couldn't say anything. Just cried. Just cried. Just cried. Finally, after the service was over, Papa said, well, you know, you're all right. And he said, no. He says, I had a golden opportunity. I had a golden opportunity to help you. And I didn't do it. The white man got up behind the black man. And the white man told that he had gone home and told his wife. I had this little colored preacher. Came in there, wanted to borrow some money. And he said, my wife never said anything to me about bank business. But she said to me, you're supposed to be a Christian. Why don't you help me? And he said, she didn't say anything else. Now, I don't know how you can match that up. You talk about God moves in mysterious ways. And this guy said he left the house that Monday morning, drove by here and went to the bank, took care of some business, told his chauffeur to drive him up here. He came here and looked at the plans and everything, and they were building the building. And so he told his preacher, you go get what you want. My brothers own all those companies, and we own all of them. You go there and get what you need to finish this building. And when you get time, you come to the bank and we'll make up some paper. We'll make up some paper. And that's how the dome and these others, because you had to have higher things to pull the dome up there and to have the balcony. You had to have contractors that had machines to do that. So you couldn't do that with just hand and arm anymore. So God moves in mysterious ways. Wonders to perform. I thank you so much, and I want to thank you all who were supporters of Bishop College. My brother spent 27 years there as president, and he did the best he could, tried to keep the school going. He told me, he said I should have come out after 20 years. So being on the board at Northern Seminary for 25 years, I found out what he meant. The reason white seminaries don't have presidents to stay there over 10 years is because you build up enemies politically. And after 10 years, a new president, they got to start all over. But if you stay there past 10 years, they get their coalitions together and they do whatever they want to do to get their program going. So my brother said he should have come out. He said it was his fault that the college folded because the white folk were determined. And President Nixon and others had told him in Washington, you're getting all these foreign students. And these foreign students are coming in here, learning how governments operate, and they are going back raising sand in their countries. And the United States government says, we cannot afford to have that being done because we can control these companies, these countries, if we don't have these Negroes coming from those countries over here learning how to run government. So it's all politically involved and so forth. I want to thank you all so much. I'm almost through with what I have to say. Now, I just mentioned that I wanted to go back to all the churches that my brother pastored, that my father pastored. He pastored 15 churches, built 6 churches from the ground up. If you didn't want to build or repair, he gone. He gone. He gone. But I just have a desire to go to all of the churches that he ever pastored. So I preached in about 6 of them, 7 of them. And I just mentioned this around to the brethren. I didn't mean for you all to really do something for me. But this is a personal joy, and I'll be forever grateful to you, my heart, for my father to do what he did. Because it increased my faith. I was put out of the church. I pastored a church in Tulare, California. I had 27 names, 27 members. I pastored there 4 years, took in 5 members. When I got ready to leave there and go to Ogden, Utah, I told the church, you all gave me a chance to pastor my first church. So I'm going to ask you whether I can go to this next church or not. If you say don't go, I won't go. And if you say go, I will go. So somebody said, they calling you. I said, yeah, but you gave me the opportunity. So I owe it to you. You gave me, they wouldn't be calling me if I were not pastor. So you're the cause of it, and I owe it to you. You gave me first opportunity to pastor. So a woman got up and said, well, if you leave here, said, I'm going to lie down in the street in front of your car. You're going to have to run over me. Another woman got up and said, no, you can't leave here because you're helping us out. So well, they had 800 people in the town, and I had about 35, 40 on Sunday. I was only preacher in town, been past the 5th grade, but the other churches were full. I only had 25, but I evangelized all the time. I filled up these other 3 Baptist churches, but my church didn't grow. 4 members, took in 5 members in 4 years. Anyway, a woman got up and said, well, you can't leave here because you're helping too many people. Chairman of the Deacon Board, Brother Amos, got up and said, Sister Smith, said, where do you work now? She said, you know I work at the hospital. And he said, what do you do? She said, you know I'm over the surgery, nurses in the surgery department. I said, why are you asking me these questions? He said, well, when I remember you, you were slinging them out. And you sweeping and carrying on. Why are you over there in the nurse? She said, my husband died and I had to find some way to get my children through school. So Brother Amos said, now how do you think Reverend Curry's going to get his children through school? Yeah. We're paying him $20 a week and he lives 50 miles up the road. The woman said, you right, go on to the next stop. And so I went to the next stop, and so they said, how much money you want for a salary? I said, I want $125 a week. And they said, we can't pay that. Said the last preacher, Reverend Washington, he built the church. We only paid him $90. I said, why do you think he left? Yeah. The deacon said, well, we can't pay that. I said, well, I tell you what. If you let me raise it, and I don't raise it, you don't owe it. So Deacon Ellzey Lee from Lauren, Mississippi, said, what? I said, if I don't raise it, you don't owe it. If I don't raise enough to pay the musician, pay the janitor, to pay the insurance, to pay on the note, to pay the light bill, pay the gas bill, and then have something for myself, I said, you don't owe it. Just let me pastor the church. Just let me pastor. That's all I want you to do. Let me pastor. If I don't raise it, so first Sunday, they raised about $60. And the deacon brought me a check, $125. I said, how much did we raise? He said, we raised about $60. I said, I took the check, tore it up, put it into, he said, you can't do that. I said, well, I told you if I don't raise it, you don't owe it. So Next Sunday came back, he said, Pastor, we're doing well. Crowd is up, people getting enthused, and everything looking good. I said, how much we raised? He said, we raised $140. I said, did we pay the secretary? Did we pay the musician? Did we pay the janitor? He said, oh, they can wait for that. I said, no, that was not the agreement. The agreement was, if I don't raise it, you don't owe it. They said, well, listen, you can't live like, I said, I'm already living. Don't tell me what I can't. Tuesday morning, a knock on my door. I go to the door, the white man there, and I said, yes, sir. He said, well, you Pastor Curry? I said, yes, sir. He said, I want to come in and talk to you. I said, with all due respect, I don't talk to white folk this time morning. I don't talk to them. Well, my wife is standing behind me. She said, let him come in. I said, no, I don't. What you got to talk to me about? He said, well, I'm the deacon for this 4-block area for the Mormons. And we heard that you're not taking any salary. You're not getting any money from the church. I said, well, that's none of your business. He said, well, your deacons that work at Hill Air Force Base with me, they talking, they told me about it. I said, well, it's none of your business. And he said, well, I'm responsible for this 4-block area for all of the children to see to it that they have their shots, that they have clothes on their back, that they don't miss any days in school. And you go right here to the corner, go up a half block, and we got a locker there at the grocery store. And I got a side of beef in there. And as long as you're in Ogden, Utah, you don't have to spend a dime for a piece of meat. I was there 4 years and did not spend a dime for a piece of meat. They had a locker full of beef, and my wife went there and told the man how to cut it up and the chops and how to mark it on the paper. I'm just telling you, when you trust God, now I got all that from my father. I got that from him telling me about these churches that he had built. And I went back to some of those churches. I do not, nobody can make me believe that he built those churches with those people. I'm telling you the truth. But this is one of the greatest monuments in my life. So, I mentioned around, I talked to Reverend Larry Sanders and so forth. When my brother moved Bishop College from Tyler, Texas to Dallas, Texas, and the white people in Marshall, Texas would not let him sell the college in Marshall, Texas to try to keep him from moving the college to Dallas. Because he said, if you move the college to Dallas, the students can get jobs and work and finish their work. But the people in Marshall didn't have any jobs for the Negroes that were in school, and they wanted to block him. And he took U-Haul and hauled all of the school property that he could to Dallas and started the college over there. Faith just went by faith. I had to start building the building for that. So our whole family is just a family of faith. And is Deacon Stanton in here? No. Well, my whole family. My brother, who was a dentist 50 years, Cornerstone Church in New York, Brooklyn, New York, finished Howard Dental School, and he was walking up the street in Brooklyn, and the man hollered out and said, "Watch yourself, boy. Watch where you're going." And somebody a little ill there? Yeah. All right. So somebody hollered out the window and said, "Watch yourself." He looked up, and they were letting the dentist chair down out of the window. And he said, "Watch yourself, boy." So he asked the guy, "What you doing?" He said, "Well, the dentist is retiring, and we moving his equipment." He said, "Well, I'm a dentist, and I'm looking for a place." Now, he was just walking down the street in Brooklyn. And they were letting the chair out of the window. And the guy told him, watch yourself, boy. Watch where you're going. So he hollered up there to him, said, you the dentist? He said, yeah, can I talk to you? He said, yeah, what about it? He said, I just finished dental school. I don't have any money. And I need to practice. And so forth. And so the guy said, pull the chair back up, put the chair back in the room, and the fella let him start practicing dentistry the next day. So my family just full of faith episodes and so forth. Our Father in heaven, we ask our blessings now.
Right now, Lord. Right now, Lord.
This is our servant.
Touch her.
You know her condition.
Right now, Lord.
You made us, you know all about us. You can do all things.
Yes, you can, Lord.
We pray for direction from those who are seeing after now.
Yes, Lord.
Bless her and keep her in your love and in your care. And may the prayers of all of us be directed to you in her faith. Forgive us of our sins, pardon us of our transgressions.
Right.
You have all power. You have
Yes, you
all
do, Lord.
power.
Yes, you do, Lord.
We witnessed that before. This is not our first time calling on you in times of need.
Yes.
Have mercy. Draw us near. Bless the pastor of this church.
Please, Father.
And the following train, that your name may be glorified. In your name we pray. Bless our family now. And all we do divine to pray for. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. My God, my God.
All right. Thank you, brothers and sisters. My time is out. I just want to thank you all coming together like this evening. And you ministers who come together. I know all of you had something else to do. And so forth. Like I told you, I pay my way down here. I just want to be in the service. And so forth. You all don't know what a great feeling. I'm 94 years old. Nothing hurts me. Take off with Reverend Chu and Reverend Isidore Edwards. Look like I'm outliving them. And I thought they were younger than I am. But and they moved that ball too. Don't tell them I say that. But all is well. But I thank you all for coming this evening. Sister George, you longtime friend of my sisters and my mother. I'm my mother too. You know. So appreciate that. Reverend George followed my father in 2 churches, 2 or 3 churches during this time. I want to thank you all again and thank these ministers. So now I was listed to bring the message, but you have heard what I have to say tonight. I was going to talk a few minutes from Timothy. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to tell you what I was going to talk about. 2 Timothy chapter 3, chapter 2, 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 1. Therefore, my son, be strong in the grace that is in Christ Jesus. Verse 14, continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and hast been assured of, knowing of whom thou hast learned them, that the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. I was going to talk about stay with what you know works. What you know works. And I want to thank you now. Anybody been inconvenienced? I can do anything about it. But I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to come back and see what Papa did, what he tried to do, how he leaned and depended on God. And I said to you, brother, God is able. I don't care what they say. I don't care what Mr. President Trump said. God is able.
Yes, he is.
He can do all things. Yes, he can do all things. All we got to do is stay with what we know works. See, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of new stuff. new ways, and you know, some of it may work. But I'm staying 94, I'm staying with what I know works. That's all I'm saying. I'm not disputing what these other people said. Do this,
My God.
stand on your head and lean over this way and touch 5 people and slap him on the back. I just said, let's bow our heads and pray. That's all I said. Whosoever will, let it come. Well, may the Lord bless you. Thank you, Reverend Larry Sanders. You lengthened my brother's life several years by the assistance you gave him and his dear wife. And I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all, sons and daughters of some of those people who sacrificed so that Papa could get this building built.
My God.
That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do as Negroes. We need to stay together, trust one another. And I want to say one last word. I don't know any Negro that you can trust completely, including me. But you can trust them enough to move the movement forward.
My God, my God. That's good.
You understand?
Trust him
I
enough.
don't know anybody that you can trust completely,
Trust him
but you can trust them enough
enough.
to help the movement go forward.
My,
See?
that's good.
So as much as I helped President Obama, you know, but I didn't trust him completely. But I did trust him enough to help the movement go forward.
Yeah.
And when you brethren come together like you did for this occasion, you know, you can't trust me all that much. But I thank you for trusting me that I wasn't going to waste your time this evening. But I hope you will be encouraged. I'm telling you, it's real. Jesus is real. Will you sing a song?
Yeah.
He's real in my soul. He was
And made me
and
whole.
made me whole. His love for me, just like pure gold. Yes. Yes, God is
Real
real.
to me.
May the Lord bless you. Thank you so much. And if I caused you any expense today, I happen to have enough. You know, my second son, the comedian, Donnie D. Seeker, is a comedian. So he makes more money off of nonsense than we make off of sense. And so I got enough money to get back home. But I thank you all. And if there's any expense for the church, I'll take it for the service today. Thank you so much. May the Lord bless you.
Amen.